Welcome to Checkpoint. In this video, I will navigate with you the current checkpoint called Checkpoint Edge. I've got some other videos, older videos, where the format of Checkpoint looks a little different, but the essence of what the videos are, it still is really the same of the research process and the types of tools and the types of keyword searching and the types of databases and things that you'll be using, the types of sources, okay? So in tax research, there are four main ways that we do research using traditional legacy tools. These are keyword search, table of contents search, index search, and citation search. Now, of those four, keyword search is by far the most popular search, okay? And I will start with keyword searching to show you how you would navigate keyword searching in Checkpoint Edge, all right? And then I will show you the other ones as well. And again, the other videos that I have for you, they will look a little different in the format, but really once you put this video and know how to do where to go for these types of searching and you follow those principles that I did in those other examples, the idea is that it's really evergreen, the other video, just this video needs to update for the UI, if you will, okay? Another thing to mention is, depending on what Checkpoint Edge you have, I might have more or less databases provided in my subscription than you might. You might have more things. I might have more things than you. It depends on, as a practitioner, different certain secondary sources, for example, are there's more bells and whistles, the more you pay. But really, the main secondary source I recommend using in Checkpoint Edge is called the Federal Tax Coordinator, which almost all Checkpoint people, they have that, and it's a great tool. Now, I'm just going to focus on federal searching, federal UI here today. But of course, and this is federal here, click on federal. You've got state, estate, pension benefits, international, payroll, and other things as well. This is really the main area to do keyword searching here. So you're going to type in whatever issue. Let's say you're dealing with swimming pool medical expense, and you'll notice that it uses, just like when you're in Google or any search engine, it uses predictive algorithms to think maybe what you're trying to get at here. Right? As I start typing, it has all these different things: swimming pool medical deductible, swimming pool medical deduction. May a taxpayer deduct the cost of building a swimming pool for medical therapy? All sorts of things that people are asking. These are not things that I've asked. These are things that other people have asked, other practitioners. So swimming pool medical expense deduction, I'm going to put that in. Okay. Now, before I click search, you've got intuitive search, which I recommend. There's also terms and connectors, and what that does is it uses Boolean connectors where you use the parentheses and a certain title within a paragraph or a certain sentence or certain words. I recommend using intuitive search. You can figure out the terms and connectors. It will give you some of those in the tool itself, but intuitive search I think is the best. Now, practice areas and sources, if you open this up, you can select your different practice areas. I have federal selected, and then down here you have all the different items that it will be searching through. You can select all, you can clear all, right? You've got editorial materials. So this is where you'll find the Federal Tax Coordinator, okay? See Federal Tax Coordinator here, analysis. This is probably, in my opinion, the best, most comprehensive secondary source that Checkpoint offers. Checkpoint through Thomson Reuters. There's also WG&L treatises. There's a few other things, but that Federal Tax Coordinator is very, very helpful. There's also, again, depending on your specific Checkpoint account, you might see something like KPMG. I know other firms have things that pop up here as well. We're not going to do anything with that. You've got news, current awareness, Checkpoint news. So this is going to be basically, Checkpoint has a weekly subscription that you might be able to sign up depending on your subscription, where it gives you tax updates. You can select those things. Here's the primary sources. We've got committee reports, congressional, federal tax cases, IRS practice, IRS publications, IRS rulings and releases, Internal Revenue Code, regulations, U.S. treaties in force. Okay, so you can go through all these things if you want to select all of them. You can turn them off. And then archives, These are the different congresses and other things. I usually don't go there. So when I'm doing research, usually what I'm using is the primary sources as well as the editorial materials. Like I often use WG&L treatises, Federal Tax Coordinator. That's really what I'm going to do, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis, and let's say IRS rulings and releases. Let's also do that because I want to look for anything specific. I'm going to go ahead and click search. And then after that comes up, you will see that we've got the editorial materials, content type, primary source materials, interactive tools. Okay, editorial materials. Here it brings up the Federal Tax Coordinator. That's why I selected. And it has that system where it's got the stars. And actually in my other checkpoint video with the old UI, I do the same thing and I ultimately get to this same checkpoint paragraph, and you'll see it's this, the same, Federal Tax Coordinator paragraph, and it's the same one, and I pull that up and it has a lot of stuff in here that's very beneficial. Okay, so that's doing keyword searching in the UI. Again, apply that to, take this and apply that to the other checkpoint video I have where I go through some examples with you and show you how to do research using checkpoint. The next is a table of contents approach. Now, table of contents approach, keyword searching is by far the most frequently used by practitioners, whether you're a newer professional or an experienced. Where table of contents comes into play is if you know that a specific issue, let's say it's partnership tax, subchapter K of the Internal Revenue Code, of the income tax chapter of the Internal Revenue Code, then you can basically just go through and look at subchapter K, the 700s of the Internal Revenue Code, and narrow that down. Or you can take a table of contents approach to understand more of the structure of the code in other areas as well. I recommend it especially for the code and things like that. So with the table of contents approach, you click table of contents here on the left, and you go into, these are the same areas. You can go into the Federal Tax Coordinator if you want, but that's not recommended because it's not really organized in a way it's helpful for the table of contents. I usually use this when it comes to federal sources. So federal source materials, and then let's say you want to use, you want the code and regulations, Internal Revenue Code, okay, current code, and then here's the different subtitles, right? Subtitle A for income taxes, subtitle B for estate and gift. We want income tax because we're dealing, let's say, with partnership tax. Chapter 1 is normal taxes and surtaxes. If you're dealing with income tax issue, almost certainly there. Here's our different subchapters, right? Subchapter C for corporations in general, subchapter K for partnerships, subchapter S for S Corps. So if you have those kinds of issues, this is very valuable. So subchapter K is the 700s. And if you're trying to, let's say, improve your learning about a specific area of tax law, this is very helpful. You can just narrow down, you can open up, expand all the different code sections that are here, okay? And you'll see the last part there is everything is repealed. So really, the code sections in this area are really just these. And you've got the titles, and you can look through and say, okay, well, I'm looking for, how about on formation or contribution? Okay, right there, 721 to 724, contributions to a partnership, non-recognition of gain or loss, basis, character. So these 4 code sections would be relevant, and that gives you an idea of which code sections from the 700s are going to be most on point. So that's an example of using table of contents. Okay, to do index search, I would go to tools on the left, okay? And then here, you can find all sorts of things, the lists of titles, X, Y, Z, and you see federal indexes. Now, federal indexes, the idea here is it's kind of like thinking about it kind of like a thesaurus. Let's say that you have, you're in a specific industry, the aviation industry, and you want to learn about different tax issues related to aviation industry or aircraft, okay? So you can go to any of these things. The index is by code section, by secondary source, primary sources, whatever it is. I like using index to get to secondary sources. So let's say I'm looking for aviation, like aircraft. You would go through here and you would read everything in the A, and then look at this. We come down to, let's see, A. We're looking for aircraft or aviation, and we're continuing down to G, AG, Aircraft, AI, aircraft. So what you find here is that you're going to find all the different federal tax coordinator paragraphs, little parts that deal with specific issues. Employer provided flights. So the idea there is how it might be a fringe benefit or something like that. Gross income inclusion, deductions with respect to owning aircraft, things like that. We do a lot with those with our clients. You're gonna that would be in here. Repairs, rental income if you rent out, prepaid expenses, things like that. So it gives you an idea of the kind of issues related to that specific industry. Okay. Now the last one is citation search, and you can get there a few different ways. Clicking on tools, but you can also see here citations. Now where this is relevant and beneficial is if you know a code section. Let's say that you're given a research situation, or you have a client come to you and it's like, let's for example, an installment sale issue, right? Which is code section 453. You could pull up code section 453, which pulls up the code, and then you can backdoor your way into, let's say, the federal tax coordinator by clicking on FTC. Whoa, that's a lot, right? So maybe we go further down into the electing out of the 453, when you might elect out federal tax coordinator. Okay, we have two, right? Treatment of canceled debt, election requirements, which are procedural. Oh, right here, this one actually talks to us about the procedural items necessary to elect out. Okay, that's an example of using the citation approach to pull up a code section, but you'll notice that there's also regs, there's also proposed final, there's also cases. You can put in a case. If you're given a situation and let's say a partner comes to you and they say, or someone in charge comes to you and says, okay, we have an issue, I need you to research this. It's this issue relates to the Helvering versus Horse decision, or it relates to the Welch v. Helvering decision, Supreme Court case. Well, you can actually pull up that case then, and from that you can then find other cases that might be beneficial, or it might lead you to other things that are related, including the federal tax coordinator and other items, secondary sources. You've got rulings, so revenue rulings. Basically all the primary sources are all available here to pull up, okay? Even other things, IRS publications, all sorts of things here. Very, very helpful, and that's an example of a citation search. Okay, so that's basically the current UI of Checkpoint Edge, which is today. And many of you use checkpoints. If you do, this is what it looks like when you're going through. Again, I have another video that's a little older from the traditional classic checkpoint, which most people do not use anymore. And the idea is that the way I do searching in there, you can follow still the concepts. Just of course, you're going to want to go here first and watch this to understand how to get to doing a keyword search, doing a table content search, doing an index search, doing a citation search to lead you on that way. And you will find that aside from this UI part here and how you get to the different searching, when you ultimately get to the federal tax coordinator, right? Like when we typed in swimming pool medical expense, right? And we had the federal tax coordinator selected. Well, ultimately you're going to see a lot of similarity in the style. When you click in and get here, it looks very, very similar to how it used to look. So that's not going to change. All right. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of the current UI for Checkpoint Edge. And with that, go ahead, go to work and explore and navigate Checkpoint.